On that straight gate, man. Hey. Trying to find peace in a world full of darkness. That is the hardest. Wise like a serpent, but like a dove harmless. Watching with sharpness. Everywhere I look, I see the devil's incarnate. With spiritual varnish. Trying to hide the fact that they mocking heartless. Heart-hardened with a hardness. Rakakadash harness, feeling like a Spartan, kicking up the harlots from wicked I departed. Body's a temple, turned to a fortress, purge out the evil like a catharsis, lift the old beat like a carcass. Cause his sin blotted him like scarlet, feeling like David, I'm a harpist. Now my new French garment are tarnished. The straight gate I started, blessed with this gift. Now my flow cold as the Arctic, but stay grounded like a carpet. Weeds of pride can't even get started. In my mind, that's a garden. Gotta pluck them out or get sorted. Not tried by Judah, but I'm straight lion-hearted. Can't bring back to life that wickedness I aborted. Most can't even begin to understand this path I'm on. It's just not for them. Narrow's the path that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Broad is the path that leads to destruction, and many there be that go in there at. Just trying to let my light shine. Now they looking at me like I ain't in my right mind. Signs of the end times. They all be drunk, sipping on Babylon wine. Damn, man, they love it. Put nothing above it, that is they idols, so they my rivals. We contend with the wicked while keeping it tribal. You'll be held liable for sins you committing won't be justifiable. Come back to the Bible. I'm calling you Jacob, come back to the Bible. But y'all don't want to hear that. I can see y'all really fear that. You trying to stay clear that. Don't even wanna believe the fact that you chosen. End time prophecy unfolding while the word molding. All of it's chosen, repentance is closing. Come back to the Bible, Jacob, I'm hoping for you. If you walk this path, there's no one before you. Keep laws and faith to the Most High, you'll floor you forever. The entrance to the kingdom is straight and narrow, set in a dangerous place. Like there's fire on the one side and deep water on the other. So small that only one man can go at a time. It's easy to fall, man.
The spirit bears witness of you devils. Heathens all around, but I'ma hold it down to the 12 gates to make it from the ghettos. Rags to riches, slaves to kings and wearing crowns. First you gotta make it to the straight gate. That life of sin you must vacate. Many are called, but few of them chosen. We doing the works for his name's sake. I plant the seed, you can water it. Look at the fruits that Yahweh brought out of it. I was a heathen and proud of it. Till he uprooted my life, I grew out of it. I open Bible up every day. Speak to my people to elevate. They believe there's one heaven gate. Narrow the path you must navigate. We in the loss of identity, but the Bible is our remedy. I raise my hand to the heavenly, knowing that he will never be forgetting me. Humble myself in sincerity, worshipping idols the enemy. Don't you know he is the Alpha, Omega, beginning and end? You must be out your mind. Are you Kennedy? Are you kidding me?
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yasharallah. So first off, I want to give all praise and glory to the Most High Yahweh, and we do so in the name of his only son, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, who the world eternally called Jesus Christ. So this lesson is going to be, so let me change the ticker at the bottom. This lesson is going to be on getting your house in order, right? Let me take this off real quick. So we're going to start in 2nd Ezra's, 14 and 13. 2nd Ezra's 14 and 13. Shalom, Danya Allah. Shalom, Ivan. Danya Allah, I see that you're in here. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah. If you want to get the verses and put them up on the screen, that would be helpful so that the brother Jomar can go ahead and get them to go ahead and read. Because like I said in the last lesson, my computer's not working, so right now I'm on a tablet, so I'm real limited to what I can share. I can't really share my whole screen, right? So 1 second. So actually a brother had asked me recently why I do so much lessons on whether it be the husband or the wife or the family or now setting your house in order, right? And like I said many times, the reason for that is because that we all have to realize that the household or the family unit is very, very important when it comes to the word and when it comes to the Most High and following the Most High, right? And especially if you have children, right? Especially if y'all have children, because it's like in the Native American, there's a lot of Native American proverbs that say it takes a tribe or it takes um, a clan to raise a child, right? So we're gonna go ahead and start in Second Ezra's chapter 14. And I see the brother zealots. So like the brother zealots of Israel says, like to speak to y'all brothers for edification when y'all get a chance. Yeah, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll get back to you. I'll be on the weekend when I get back to everybody. So Danya Allah, if you can, if you want to be posting up the verses on the comments, and I'll pull them up as we go. But Khan, if you got it, I can go ahead and start on Second Ezra 14 and 13.
Khan, this is Second Ezra, chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
So this is Ezra, right? And he's saying, now set thine house in order, right? Your house in order, and reprove thy people. Reprove meaning correct, right? And of course with the word. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption, right? So if you want to get we'll come right back to this, but if you want to pull up if you want to get 1 Corinthians 7 and 3, the order, real quick.
Khan. You said 1 Corinthians 7 and 3?
11 and 3, Baruch Kashar.
Khan, this is 1
Which I'm
Corinthians.
sure everybody. Salaki, go ahead.
11. You said 11 and 3. It's cutting off a little bit.
Khan, 11 and 3.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is Yahweh.
So in Second Ezra's, it says, set your house in order, right? So the first thing that you have to know when it comes to order is the actual order that the Most High set it up, right? The man is the head of the household as he follows our Messiah's example, and as we follow the Most High's word. And then the woman is under the man, and then the children under the woman, right? So that's the order. So going back to Second Ezra's 14 and 13, it says, therefore set thine house in order. This is the order that we have to be following, right? And it says, reprove thy people. So the man, he reproves the woman and the children, and the woman reproves the children, and comfort such of them as be in trouble. And when the people under us are going through certain things, you have to be able to comfort them as be in trouble, whoever's in trouble, whether it be emotionally, mentally, and of course, most importantly, spiritually, right? So what I put in it up. So it says, now therefore sit in order and reprove thy people, correct your people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. So this is one of the biggest things when it comes to getting your house in order. You have to renounce corruption, right? And we'll come back to that in just a second. If you want to pull up verse 14, 15, and 16 from the same chapter, 2 Ezra 14, 15, and 16.
Khan. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, verse 14. Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature.
So let go from the moral thoughts. All the worldly thoughts, we have to, the best of our ability, let go of them. Right? Meaning all these different parts of the world aren't going to benefit us spiritually. If we're going to be able to set our houses in order, we can't be worried about all the ways and all the things of the world, all these mortal thoughts that aren't going to benefit us. Cast away the burdens of man, right? All the burdens of trying to please man and trying to do all of these worldly things. Put off now the weak nature. Anything that is not of the word, is not of the Most High, that is a weak nature, right? It's like the word says that the Most High commands us to be strong and of courage, right? This world, especially this society today, wants the man especially to be weak, to have a weak nature, to possess female qualities and be weak in nature. So go ahead, 15.
Khan. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times.
So it says, set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, whether this be whatever it is, right? I'm not going to get into specifics right now because we got a lot to cover, but anything, again, that is of the world, that is not going to benefit you, your household, your family, your salvation, you have to let go. You have to set aside these types of thoughts because all they are distractions. Right? We only have so much time in the day. In Matthew 24 and in Daniel 12, and these time is speeding up. Like I was just thinking earlier, I was like, man, what's today? 22nd, 23rd, starting what, the 25th, right? 25th?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but this month went by fast.
Yep, most definitely.
This month, this whole year, like think about it, we're already more than halfway through the year, through 2021.
It's crazy. I remember starting with everything happening in 2020. It was just so jam-packed with all kinds of crazy events. And we were looking at 2021 like, man, when's 2021 gonna get here? You know, we were already looking at January, and then all of a sudden June's here, you know?
Con, for real. I felt the exact same way. And so setting aside all those heavy thoughts so that we can haste to flee from these times. Because in these times, we're barely starting to see the things that are starting to happen. But like we were talking about, they're trying to make it to where you have to have the vaccine to work. I think it was it in the Philippines where the president said you have to have it or he's going to start putting people in camps. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
So I mean, things are getting worse and worse, and then as we know, we talked about many times, the whole how there's no water in California, and then also how they're paying farmers to not grow crops, how inflation is coming, and all these things that are happening, right? We have to make haste to flee from the ways and all the thoughts of these times, because the times are coming and way worse, as it's about to say. So we'll go ahead, 16 on.
Khan, 2nd Esdras 14:16. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter.
So we have to make haste to flee from these times, because soon after these things that we think are bad or that people think are bad, it's going to be a lot more evils that are going to come upon the earth. Right. And I know how we remember when we did that study on 2nd Esdras, what was it, 9, 15, and 16, the one that got taken down.
Khan, yeah.
And it says things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. We might have to redo that one just because it got taken down. But it's just like all those things we said, or all those things we saw, all the plagues that are going to come, and they're not going to be slack, and then they get worse and worse as the woman travails in labor. How things get worse and worse and worse, right? It's the exact same thing. So if you want to get Deuteronomy 11 and 18 through 21, Deuteronomy 11, 18 to 21.
Con.
So getting our houses in order, of course, first and foremost is spiritual. It's all spiritual. And like we talked about in the whole husbandry, the husbandry one that we did, it all starts with the man, right? It starts with the head. So go ahead when you're ready.
Con. This is Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 18. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes.
So it says, therefore shall ye lay up these my words. What words? The words of the Bible, the words of the Most High, in your heart and in your soul. So we know, because Proverbs says, as a man think in his heart, so is he. Your heart is your mind. So how do we lay up these words in our heart, in our mind? By studying, right? By being in the scriptures daily, by being a workman in the truth, like it says in 2 Timothy 2 and 15, and bind them for a sign upon your hand. So when you bind something, you're making it come together, right? These words can't just be in your heart, in your mind. Because I know a lot of brothers, or a few brothers, and I know a few sisters that they know the Bible, they can quote the Bible, but they're not living it out. They're not using it as a sign upon their hands. In other words, they're not doing the works, right? That they may be as frontlets between your eyes, right? So frontlets, when we went to San Antonio, if you go downtown, they have horses pulling carriages and stuff. They all have little frontlets on the side of their eyes so the horses can't look to the side, right? So it's the same thing with this word. The more you have it in your head, in your mind, it's going to be like frontlets, and it's going to show you that straight path, right? Not that broad path to destruction, that straight path to the kingdom. So we have to put the words in our hearts first and foremost, right? Which when it comes to the man, like I said, that's where it all starts. Because husbandry, if y'all didn't see the live we did on husbandry, it all starts with the man, right? Husbandry is the tilling of land, right? So when you think about it as your mind is a garden, and you have to till your land, you have to plant good seed, which is the word. But then also you can see it as your wife or your children are also part of that land. Because in Leviticus, it says your land is your inheritance. And the Most High gives you a wife, allows you to inherit a wife, a good wife or a godly wife, when you are trying to live godly too, right? As a matter of fact, if you want to get Sirach 36, I think it's 24. Sirach 36, 24. 24 and 25.
Con. This is Sirach, chapter 36, verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help unto himself, and a pillar of rest.
Con. So he that gets a wife begins a possession. Now some brothers will say things like, you see, I own, she is mine, things of that nature. But what it really means is, when you have a possession, if you have, say, a prized possession, right? Like if you have a chain that's made out of gold, you take care of it, you polish it, you don't just leave it on the floor, right? You're really going to take care of it. A help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest, right? A godly woman is going to be a pillar of rest, which is the opposite of what most women are, right? But when it comes to getting your house in order, you have to make sure that you are taking care of your wife like she is a prized possession. And this doesn't mean putting her up on a pedestal, letting her walk all over you, things of that nature, but it means taking care of her, just like how I said about husbandry. A field or land was a possession before, right? And you had to, in order to use that land to benefit you, what would you do? You would sow good seed into it. So it's the same thing with a woman. You need to make sure you're sowing that good seed, which if you read Mark, the 4th chapter, where it talks about the parable of the sower, the good seed is the word, right? It's the word of the Most High. So you have to make sure that you're constantly and daily sowing that seed into, especially into your wife, first and foremost, and then of course it trickles down to your children. But if you could get Sirach 26 and 20, 26 and 20, and then we'll come back to verse 25 on here. So it says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself. So how can she be a help like you for yourself if she doesn't know the word? Or if she doesn't even have wisdom when it comes to it, right? How can she be a pillar of rest? Say you're going through something and you need to hear maybe that one verse, and you're not even watering her, you're not planting those seeds in her, so she can't then go down the line, right? So go ahead, Art.
This is Sirach 26 and 20. When thou hast gotten a fruitful possession through all the field, sow it with thy own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock.
So when thou hast gotten a fruitful possession, we just read, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, right? So it says, through all the field, sow it with thine own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock. So if you read this, if you keep reading down the line, it's talking about physically, right? Using your own seed, sow your own seed and build up your nation, right? But like we talked about before, it's physical and it's spiritual. And if your wife is your possession, you need to make sure you're sowing that good seed into her, right? Which not just talking about having children, but also talking about sowing the seed, which is the word of the Most High, right? But when you really think about it, a lot of brothers can't do this because they're not gardening or tilling themselves, right? So how can you do it to your own house? A lot of people want, or brothers in particular, want fruit from their wife or fruit from the children, but they neglect to water or till themselves their own minds, right? They're just watching TV, playing video games, doing all these other things. How can you plant that good seed in someone else if you're not doing it to yourself, right? So first and foremost, you have to prepare yourself with wisdom, right? When it comes to getting your house in order, if you're the man, then it all starts with yourself, right? And that's like Philippians 2 and 12, how it says, work out your own salvation, fear and trembling, because it does start. Of course, everyone is responsible for their own salvation, but as a man, if the Most High entrusted you with a household, then you are responsible for that household, right? So let's go back to Sirach 36 and 25, if you read that out.
Khan, this is Sirach 36 and 25. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning.
So where no hedge is, a hedge is like a protective barrier, right? They would make hedges, or even in one of my tias lives in Matamoros, which is in Mexico, and what they do is they'll put like thorn bushes or thorn hedges all around their property, right? It's like a protection. So it says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, right? And you read the verse before that, what does it say? It says, he that gets a wife beginneth possession. So that hedge, first and foremost, has to be the word, has to be the Most High, which, how do we get that hedge? By following the word, right? Most High is not going to protect someone who's not following the word in the first place, right? And looking at it another way, spoiled means stolen. They can have, why do you think so many of our people, I know it's a curse in Deuteronomy 28, how another man will lay with a woman, right? You'll get a wife. Actually, if you want to get that, it's Deuteronomy 28. I think it's 30 or 32. Let me see. 30. Deuteronomy 28 and 30.
This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
So where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, is stolen. Your wife, these things happen because you're not there. Of course, it's a curse, right? Deuteronomy, what was it? There's 28 and 30. This is a curse. If you read Deuteronomy 28 and 15, it says it's because you're not following the commandments of the Most High. So if another man lies with her, that is your possession being stolen, right? Being spoiled. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. In one way or another, in your house, it is out of order, and that's why this is happening. Because you as the man, you are not acting as a hedge, whether it be spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I know back in the world, when I wasn't in the truth, this was one of the main reasons why females would end up cheating on the man. It's, oh, well, he wasn't there for me emotionally, right? Things like that. So you have to understand that we have to be a hedge to the woman. And again, like I said, it's in the word is where you're going to get comfort. In the word is where you're going to get all the answers for all of life's problems. So that has to be our hedge, and that has to be how we are teaching them, right? So if you want to go back to Deuteronomy, let me go back up on it. Okay, so this says, therefore shall ye lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be frontlets between your eyes, right? So this is speaking to the men. It can also be to the women if it's like a single, say it's a single sister, she has children, but it's more speaking to the men. So if you want to read 19 up.
Deuteronomy 11:19, and ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So one of the main reasons, verse 18 says, you're going to lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, not only so that you could do them with your hands, right, but also so that you can teach them to your children. Speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, you know, when my older daughters are here, I think I said on the previous live, they're gone. We have full custody of them, so they're gone for 1 month out of the year in the summer, so they're gone right now. But when they're here, we sit them down at the table and we have Bible study every day, right? Speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, sometimes at the table, sometimes on the couch, whatever it may be. And when thou walkest by the way, and when you're out and about and stuff, and you tell them like, look, oh, well, this verse goes with that, or look, that's actually Most High because this verse says this. When thou liest down, and then when my older daughters are here, and also with my younger children who are 4 and 2, when they're laying down, we pray together, right? And when thou risest up, and when you wake up, always talking about this word, always in prayer, always in the spirit. Go ahead, verse 20 up.
This is Deuteronomy 11:20. And thou shalt write them upon the doorpost of thine house and upon thy gates.
So an example of writing them upon the doorpost of your house and on your gates you can literally have something outside, right? But in the house, say we have the Adawan Palau, or the what they call the Lord's Prayer. We have it in Hebrew in a picture frame. Then on the fridge, we have a couple Bible verses up there. Then we have a couple other frames and pictures like that have verses and things of that nature. That's an example of writing them on the doorposts of thine house. I know a brother that has the same commandments in his living room. It's the same thing, right? It's just a constant reminder in your household that you're serving the Most High, right? And that it's a house of the Most High. So verse, let's see if it'll pull it up. All right, 21.
That your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth.
So why are you going to do this? Why are you going to study and put them in your heart and bind them upon your hands and teach your household and teach your children's and speak of them when you're sitting and walking and putting them in your house, so that your days can be multiplied and the days of your children, right? As the days of heaven upon the earth, in the land that Yahweh swore to your fathers. So in other words, that you can all make it to the kingdom together, right? So your children, not only you, but your children will can make it to the kingdom, right? Judah's son, Shalom. So if you want to get Joshua 24 and 15, Joshua 24 and 15. This is actually one of the verses we have up on our fridge, right? I'm sure many brothers and sisters are familiar with this verse.
Con. This is Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
So this is Joshua saying, look, if it seems evil for you to serve the Most High, Yahweh, right, then choose today who you're going to serve, right? This is a decision that every head of a household, in order to set your house in order, you're gonna have to say something like this to your household, right? If it seems evil to you to serve Yahweh, choose this day whom you will serve. So he didn't say tomorrow or next week or let me know, think about it, and if you want to serve the Most High, then let me know in a few months, right? It says, as he said, but as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh, right? We will serve Yahweh. So like me, for example, I would never invite or have anybody in my house that is not trying to serve the Most High, because that's not going to be profitable or beneficial to you in any way, shape, or form. That's going to be actually detrimental to you, right? If you want to pull up Sirach 11 and 29, Al-Kashal, this verse seems to come out almost every lesson, but it's a very, very overlooked verse that people don't really realize. And especially us, like coming from the so-called Hispanic or Latino community, you know, we're really big on family and friends and having parties and always having people over and all these types of things. Because I know that's how I was raised, right? Go ahead.
This is Sirach chapter 11, verse 29. Bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains.
So the deceitful man being Satan, he has many different trains of getting to you, many different forms of transportation of getting to you. He has many, many, many different spirits. He could put a spirit on this person. He could put a spirit on your friend. He could put a spirit on your so-called best friend you've known for the longest time. He could put a spirit on your your mom, your dad, your boyfriend, your girl, whoever it is, right? On your children's friends. He has many trains, many forms of transportation to getting to you, right? So if you're gonna be like Joshua, going back to that, he said, "But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh." Right? In other words, his whole house is gonna serve Yahweh. I know many people. Well, I know one in particular that I'll just use as an example. Right? She does believe in the word. She's an older woman that's a part of my family. She believes in the word. She believes in Yahweh and Yahshua. She believes in the names. She believes that we're the Israelites. She believes in all these things. But her biggest problem is that right there. She brings too many people into her house, and that brings different spirits. Spirit of laziness, spirits of sickness, spirits of anger, spirits of hate, all these different spirits, right? And she'll let anybody come into her house, stay in her house, right? Because if they're their family, their friends, this, that, and the other, right? Actually, if you could get Exodus 20 and 10, Exodus 20 and 10, right? So you have to be austere like Yahushua was, and like Joshua was, and we have to make a stand, especially in these last days, because in 2nd Ezra 14 and 13, when it says, "Set thine house in order," it's saying for a specific reason, right? It's saying because greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Greater evils are going to come. So we have to be like Joshua said, "And as for me and my house, my whole house, we're going to serve the Most High," right? So go ahead, Ad.
Khan, this is Exodus chapter 20, verse 10. "But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates."
So as a man of the Most High or as a woman of the Most High, if your house is going to serve the Most High, then guess what? Sabbath, right? The Sabbath, which was, if you really think about it, it was instituted even before Exodus, because in Genesis, like we were just reading in the last lesson, Genesis 2, it says he rested from his work and he sanctified that day. It was already a holy day. So like it says here, the 7th day is the Sabbath. We're not supposed to do any work. Neither your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, not even your animals, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Even people that say you have someone, even though I wouldn't recommend it, say you have someone who's not an Israelite staying in your home, guess what? They can't break the Sabbath either. That means if you're going to keep the Sabbath, then if you're not cooking on Sabbath, nobody's cooking on Sabbath in your home. If you're not going to work in your home on Sabbath, then nobody's going to work in your home on Sabbath, right? If you're not going to buy nothing, then nobody in your house can buy anything, right? Because that can affect your house inadvertently. You want to get Proverbs 3 and 33 out, Proverbs 3 and 33. Because this is, and even if you think about it, like Christians and stuff, they'll say, I've heard Christians specifically say, well, we just have to follow the 10 commandments. Well, this is still one of the 10 commandments. Nobody in your house is supposed to break the Sabbath.
Khan, this is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 33. "The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just."
So the curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked. So let's say you're the head of the house and you're trying to follow the Most High, but then you're allowing everybody under you to act wickedly. Does that mean your house isn't going to be cursed? Of course not, right? The Most High is not a respecter of persons. If somebody is living wickedly and you're allowing it in your house, in one way or another, your house is going to be affected by that. In one way or another, your house will 100% be affected by the wickedness of the people living in them, right? But he blesseth the habitation of the just. So, Kristen Cross, what if you live with family who don't observe the Sabbath? So the picture is real small. I can't tell. Okay, it's a sister, right? Yeah, it's a sister. So that it again, that would be a case by case basis because it depends how old you are, right? Are you able to? Are you able to? Okay, it says observe it, but my family aren't in the truth. So are you able to get your own place, sis? How old are you? Right? Because it all depends on that. That's another thing. I had two two brothers that hit me up, actual brothers, right? They're flesh, blood brothers, and they both are trying to follow the truth. And they're living with their parents who don't follow the truth, right? And they can't say anything to them because it's going to start an argument. And of course, you have to follow the fifth commandment, which I did a whole video on. You have to honor your parents. You can't be disrespectful to them. But the best advice that I could give somebody in that situation, and which those two brothers are actually doing, is they are, number one, of course, praying to the Most High that they can get out of that situation. Number two, they're working to get out of that situation. To the best of my knowledge, they both got jobs already. They're saving up. They're trying to get their own place. But my best advice for that would be to pray, to be obedient, so that you can eventually get out of that situation. And if you live with your parents, the best thing to do is to okay, 32, working on it. I moved back after my son's father went back to the world. Okay, Khan, and that's understandable, you know. Man's goings are of the Most High, Proverbs 20 and 24, right? You're there for a reason, but now you got to understand that if that's something that you truly want to do, that you really have your heart set on doing, then you're gonna have to start working to get yourself out of that situation, right? You're gonna have to start working to get yourself out of that situation, which is not. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it or anything. I've talked to many sisters in the last couple months that are in a similar situation as you, sis. And to be perfectly honest with you, as a woman, that is hard to do, right? Because we're talking about setting your house in order, and the head of the house is the man, right? The head of the house is the man. So if the head is man, and the woman falls under the body, right? With that direction of having a head, having a man, it's going to be hard to do, but of course, it's not impossible, right? With the Most High, all things are possible. But I would say that to keep the Sabbath to the best of your ability, pray that you can get out of that situation, get your own place. And to be honest with you, one of the most important things that a woman can pray for that isn't married is for a man that can lead her in the truth, right? A man that's actually sincere in the truth. And if you were, because I believe you said, oh yeah, you moved back after your son's father went back into the world. Before getting married, I would sincerely consider getting baptized for remission of sins. Because according to the law and according to Yahushua, you know, it does say that you are bound to a man as long as he lives. Right? But like Acts 2 and 38 says, you can get remission of sins and basically become a new person. Not basically, and become a new person, right? So going back to what were we on? Proverbs 3 and 33. Okay, so the curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just, right? If you could get 2 Kings 20 and 1, I believe it's through like 3. You see, 2 Kings. Yeah, Khan. 20 and 1 through 3.
Con. This is 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 1. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amos, came to him and said unto him, Thus said Yahweh, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live.
Khan. So Hezekiah was sick and he was gonna die, right? He was really, really sick. And Isaiah came to him and told him, look, you're gonna die. And Yahweh said, set your house in order, right? Set your house in order. So now we don't know. We do pray, like it says in, I believe it's Luke 21:36. We're supposed to pray that we make it through all these evils and plagues that are going to come. But we don't know if we're going to make it through, right? We don't know if we're going to make it through. So it's very important that we set our house in order either way, right? You want to go ahead and read verse 2 out?
Con. 2 Kings 22. Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto Yahweh, saying, verse 3, I beseech thee, O Yahweh, remember now how I have walked before thee in the truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore.
Khan. So he started praying to the Most High, right? He turned his face to the wall and prayed unto Yahweh, saying, I beseech you, or I beg you, right? O Yahweh, remember now how I have walked before you in truth, before thee in truth, and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And he wept to the Most High, right? And the Most High is a God of mercy. So what happened was, you got verse 4, or you want me to go ahead and read it?
I got verse 4.
Go ahead.
2 Kings 20, verse 4. And it came to pass, afore Isaiah was gone into the middle court, that the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, verse 5.
Go ahead.
Turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, thus said Yahweh, the God of David, thy father, I have heard thy prayer. I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee. On the third day thou shalt go up unto the house of Yahweh.
So the point of it, if you keep reading it, it's going to say that that he ends up recovering and he survives it, right? But the point of it is, a lot of times the Most High tests us with something, and we think that something's going to happen, right? We think something really bad might happen, and it can be a test to where he's going to see what you're going to do. So what did Hezekiah do when Isaiah told him he was going to die? The first thing he did was cry to the Most High, right? And the Most High healed him, and I believe it's verse 7. It says he recovered. It says, and he recovered. But why? Because he cried unto the Most High. He started praying with tears, right? He said, and also he said he was walking in truth. He was walking with a perfect heart in the sight of the Most High, right? Imagine having clear enough of a spiritual conscience to be able to tell the Most High, I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart, right? Like, hey, I've really been sincerely walking in truth and trying to do my best. That's the type of spirit that we're going to have to, Most High willing, be in when all these plagues and all these things start happening, like it said in 2 Ezra 14, right? But going back to verse 1, what was the first thing that Isaiah told him? He said, set thine house in order, right? So the only way you set your house in order is with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Because if you're not giving your family and your house knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you're gonna be leading them astray. If you're not a man, as a matter of fact, if you could get Job 38, 2 and 3. Job 38, 2 and 3.
Con.
So the sister said, yes, I've been baptized almost a year now. So Khan, I'll praise the Most High. That's good. I would say definitely pray about it. And like it says in Psalms, it says, delight in Yahweh and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Your desire is to be led in truth and to be away from the wickedness of whatever house that you're living in. He can most definitely do that, right? So going back to this, go ahead.
This is Job chapter 38, verse 2. Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge?
So who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? If you are counseling your family, your household, whether it be your wife, whether it be your children, whoever it is, right? You are darkening their counsel. You are darkening their understanding. You are darkening their path if you're giving them words without knowledge, right? That's why Psalm 1:1 says you'll be blessed if you walk not in the counsel of the ungodly. So imagine if you're giving ungodly wisdom, ungodly words, dark words, because the word and the law is light, right? Proverbs 6:23. This word, this law is light. So if you're giving them counsel, you're counseling your home, your wife, your children without knowledge, you are darkening their counsel, you're darkening their understanding, right? And you're not being a man. You want to go ahead and read verse 3.
Khan, this is Job chapter 38, verse 3. Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me.
Imagine the Most High telling you to gird up your loins like a man. Imagine, for I will demand of thee. If the Most High blessed you with children and with the household, you know how many people wish they could have a wife and they can't? Wish they could have children and they can't and they don't? If the Most High blessed you with that, then he demands you to be a man. And he demands you to give them counsel. So you want to go ahead and read Proverbs 6:23.
Khan, Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
So the commandments, the laws, statutes, commandments, precepts, the whole word, the whole Bible, this is a lamp. This is light, right? And reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So didn't we read in the first verse that we read, 2 Ezra 14:13, it said, set thy house in order and reprove thy people. How do you reprove your people? It's the instructions in this word. That's the way of life. If you're not giving them the counsel and the knowledge of the Bible, the law, and you're giving them, it's not the way of life, it's the way of death, right? So Job 38:2, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? You're darkening your house's counsel and their spirit, really, when you think about it, if you're giving them counsel that's not of the word, right? And that falls back on you again, which if you want to get 1 Timothy 5:8, that's another verse that always comes up. Because you have to understand that as the parent, whether it be the father or even the mother, right, it's going to fall back on you. It's a sin to not teach your children. We just read in Deuteronomy 11 that you're supposed to teach your children, teach your household. Go ahead, Art.
1 Timothy 5:8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
Infidel being a non-believer, like we've gone over many times. If you're not providing for your own house, especially spiritually, you're worse than a non-believer. Not only that, you're also sinning because it's in the law. You want to get Leviticus 19 up? Leviticus 19 and 17. 19, 17, and 18, actually. Leviticus 19, 17, and 18. If you're not providing for your own, right? With these scriptures, you're not setting your house in order. You're denying the word. You're denying the faith of Yahweh and Yahushua. You're denying the Bible.
Con. This is Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
So you're not supposed to hate your brother in your heart. When you go into Yahushua, like how John 1:17 said he brought mercy and truth. He added more truth where he expounded on it, right? And he said, who's my brother? Them that do the will of the Father, right? Because thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. You're not to hate anybody who's trying to follow the word, right? That's a law. Then it says, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. Who is your neighbor? It's the Israelites, right? Any of your kinsmen, and not suffer sin upon him. If you're suffering sin upon your wife, if you're suffering sin upon your children, that's a sin that falls back on you, right? You want to read verse 18, Baba Kashaw.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh.
And you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. Rebuking your neighbor, correcting your neighbor, contrary to popular belief, contrary to what the world tells you, that's actually love. By correcting them and saying the word actually says this, you're not supposed to do this. The Most High says this. We're supposed to walk in his ways. Actually, we're supposed to keep the Sabbath. Everybody in the house is supposed to keep the Sabbath, right? That is how you love your neighbor, right? If you want to get Genesis 18 and 19, Balkashah. Now I'm gonna read something actually after that. I went to a new Hobby Lobby just opened up, and my daughter wanted me to take her, and I found this. If y'all can see that, Holman Illustrated Bible Dictionary. It's got pictures like next to all the words and stuff. I was looking through it today, and I saw the definition for family. It was pretty interesting. You can go ahead and read that Genesis first, though.
This is Genesis chapter 18, verse 19. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him.
So the Most High said he knows Abraham, and he knows he's going to command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh, right? So notice it didn't say he's going to ask his children. He's going to ask his household, oh, do you want to follow after the Most High? Do you possibly want to do what I'm doing and follow the word? It says he's going to command his children and his household, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh, right? So as the man, as the head of the household, we have to be the same way. And I know that can be a hard thing because a lot of people, what was that verse I read earlier? I think it's the Proverbs 17:13. Proverbs 17:13. This can be a hard thing to do because people nowadays want to be people pleasers. You know what I mean? Con 17 and 13.
This is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 13. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house.
You can't reward evil for good or good for evil, like it says in Isaiah 5:20. Woe to them who put good for evil and evil for good. That there comes a time in your household, say you have children, right? And they're living against the word, that there has to come a point in time where you have to make it known that that is evil, right? You can't just act like that's all right. Because if you're doing that, like it says here, evil shall not depart from your house. If you're basically co-signing evil, if you're allowing evil to be conducted in your house, especially as the man, right? But even like I said, as a woman, right? Let's say you're a single sister and you have children, or it is now your job. As much as it sucks because it's against the whole order, it is now your job to be the head and the helpmeet, right? Essentially, you're the mother and the father, but you cannot allow your children, just like Abraham, it says, he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh. He commanded his children and his household to follow the Most High, right? Because if not, if you're going to be rewarding and allowing people to do evil in your home and acting like it's all good, right? Evil is not going to depart from your house. Evil will not depart from your house. And at this point in time, when you start doing things like this, especially whether it be as a parent or whether, let's say, you have other family members, because like even in the old times, extended families in your home was a common thing, right? Just like it is nowadays. But if you want to get Micah 7:6, and I'm gonna read the definition of family in the Holman Illustrated Bible Dictionary, right? So this says family, a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood, or adoption, enabling interaction between members of the household in their respective social roles. So a family is obviously someone united by marriage, by blood, or by adoption. And it says they all have in their household, they have their respective roles, right? It says God has ordained the family as the foundational institution of human society. I'm read that again. God has ordained the family as the foundational institution of human society, right? So the foundation of society is based upon the family unit or the household, right? Because this is where in your household is where you learn everything. You're going to learn either to be wicked or you're going to learn to follow the Most High, right? So I'm going to read like two more sentences. It says, from the union of the husband and wife, the family expanded to include the children and also various relatives. So obviously your family grows when you get married and you have various relatives, some of them in your household. Along with paternal authority over the family came responsibility to provide and protect it. The father was responsible for the religious and moral training of his children. And then it says Deuteronomy 6 and 7, verses 20 through 25, Exodus 12, 26 through 27, Joshua 4, 6 through 7 has a lot of different verses, right? But the point that it says is the family is expanded to include children and various relatives. When you get married, just like how the sister said, how she lives with other members of the family. I know other brothers and sisters that are in the same situation. But notice it still says that there's paternal authority over the family, right? In other words, the father has the authority over the family. With it came responsibility to provide for and protect it. The father was responsible for the religious and moral training of his children, right? And then it talks about the Levitical priesthood, and how the father would lead the family in worship, prayer, and all these other things, right? The father was to give his daughter in marriage. It even says a daughter found to have been promiscuous before she was married was to be stoned on her father's doorstep. Deuteronomy 22 and 21, right? So the point is, though, that the father has always had authority over the household, right? The father has always had authority over the household. So think about it this way. If Joshua said, my house is going to serve the Most High, right? Abraham said, the Most High said Abraham was going to command his children and his household to follow the ways of the Most High, right? And this is the same stance that we have to take, especially as the heads of the households. So go ahead and read that Micah, Bob Kasha.
Con, Micah 7 and 6. For the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house.
So this is in the so-called Old Testament, and it says the exact same thing in the New Testament, right? The son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against the mother, the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. If you want to get Mark 3 and 25, Mark 3 and 25. It's saying that all the members of the family are going to be rising up against each other. So why is everybody going to be rising up against each other? It's because of this word, right? It's a huge division in the house. Like I said earlier, if you take a stance and say, look, everyone's keeping silent in my house. Look, everybody is nobody's smoking weed in my house. Nobody's gonna partying and getting drunk and doing drugs in my house, right? Nobody's gonna be stealing and fornicating and being lazy and not working in my house. That's gonna cause a lot of division, right? That's gonna cause the sons and daughters to start dishonoring the parents, rising up against them, right? Become enemies in their own house. And when that happens, this is what can happen. Go ahead, Art.
Mark 3 and 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
A divided house cannot stand, right? A divided house cannot stand. You can get Matthew 10, 34 through 39. Matthew 10, 34 through 39, Baruch Kasha. So if you don't want your house to fall, right? Because if something can't stand, what happens? It falls, right? If you don't want your house to fall, you have to get rid of what's causing division, or who is causing division, right? You have to take that stand, like Joshua, like Abraham, like many of our ancestors, austere men of the Most High, had to do as well, right? And if you think about it, I don't remember which lesson it was where I went over a bunch of the different, I don't know if you remember, Ark, where I went over a bunch of the different ways or things you would be put to death for before Yahushua came.
Yeah, you had a whole spreadsheet on it.
Oh, Conrad, I think I shared it with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Con. So one of them was if your children are disobedient. If they kept disobeying you and kept disobeying and dishonoring you, you could take them to the judges, to the priests, and put up charges against them, and you could have them stoned to death, right? And it said this is how you would put away evil amongst your people, amongst Israel. So imagine all the evil and all the wickedness And I've talked to my rib about that before in the past, and I was like, man, I don't think I could have had put my child to death, right? But of course, that was a different time, and now we don't have to. All thanks to the Most High, they have grace and they have mercy, right? Because Yahweh Shai came. But when you think about it, if you can't even put your foot down and tell your child, look, in my house, this is not going to be acceptable, right? Imagine how, like, think about how different it was back then. So if you want to go ahead and read Matthew 10, starting on 34.
Khan, this is Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
Go ahead.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
So the father, or the set a man against his father, the daughter against the mother, the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law, right? And like we talked about, or I was saying earlier, it's all because of this word. This is Yahweh Shai is saying he is the one that's setting at variance these people. Why? Because some of them are following the word and some of them are not. Good is set against evil, is what it says in Sirach. So is the sinner against the ungodly. We are set against these people, even if they're your blood family, right? Go ahead.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
And your own enemies are going to be those of your own household. Because like we read in Sirach 11:9, anybody can bring spirits into your house. If you're allowing people to go and do all these manner of wickedness, and they're bringing those spirits into your house, if you're trying to live godly, then these people are your foes. These people are your enemies. Go ahead.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
So if you choose to love anybody in your household and more than Yahweh, sacrifice, more than the Most High who sent his son to die for you, then you're not worthy of that sacrifice in the first place, right? Because you're putting these people that can spiritually drag you down over the Most High. So part of setting your house in order is knowing, look, I might have to give up a parent, I might have to give up a grandparent, a tia, an uncle, a cousin, a child, right? When you start setting those rules, getting your house in order, and if they don't want to get with the program, I mean, they're gonna have to get out, right? Go ahead, 38.
And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
So taking your cross, that just represents a burden. It would be a big burden to have to get rid of somebody who, whether it be your father, your mother, your child, whether it be whoever it is, a relationship, that burden that you're gonna have to carry, you're gonna have to carry it to follow after Yahushua, right? To walk the path that he walked, to follow after the Most High, right? Go ahead.
He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it.
He that findeth his life shall lose it, right? You want to find eternal life, you're going to have to lose world life that you've been living. You're going to have to lose people. I've heard people say many times, oh, I couldn't imagine my life without this person. You might have to lose your life then. You might have to lose that person. I've known this person for this many years. This person's been there for me, all these bad things. Maybe that person was the one causing all those bad things, right? He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. You're going to lose this temporary, you're going to have to lose temporary people if they're not willing to walk with you in the path towards the kingdom. But even then, you have to start your own salvation, right? You're gonna have to lose your life for the Most High, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai's sake, so that you can find eternal life, right? You want to get Matthew 19:27 through 29, Baba Kashaf. So sister said, this lesson was meant for me. All praise for you, brother Sultan. All praise to the Most High. Isaiah 55:11. I'll get it real quick for you get that. It's Isaiah 55:11. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Right? So when the word comes out of anybody's mouth, the free word, right? When the word goes out, the Bible, that's the Most High's mouthpiece, it shall not return to him void. It's going to accomplish whatever he wants it to accomplish, right? It's going to prosper in whatever thing he wants it to prosper. So Most High willing, it, like you said, if you feel like the lesson was for you, then he's sending it out to you so that it can prosper in your life, right? So you can make the changes that you need to make, or to give you that encouragement that you need, right? So you got that Matthew out?
Khan. This is Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore?
Go ahead.
And Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Go ahead.
And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life.
So the 12 disciples or apostles were asking him, we've forsaken all and we followed you, right? What are we gonna get? And in verse 29, he says, everyone that's forsaken houses, brethren, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, wife, children, lands, for me is gonna receive 100-fold, right? So when it comes to setting your house in order, you got to realize if you're in a big household, like I know I talk to brothers and sisters, they got 6, 7, up to 10, even 12 people in their households, right? If you have to leave that environment so that you can follow the Most High, then that's just what you have to do, right? If the men that were following around Yahushua left everything, right? Verse 27, they said, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee, right? We have to look at that spiritually and see, maybe we have to apply that to our lives now, right? So what did Yahushua say? He said, everyone that forsaken houses, brethren, sisters, fathers, mothers, wife, children, lands, for my name's sake, is going to receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. So I don't know about y'all, but if I had to leave or forsake anybody or anything and inherit 100-fold and everlasting life, I mean that's a easy choice. Right? For somebody in the spirit, that's going to be an easy choice. And no one's saying it's going to be an easy thing to do, because there's always that connection, that memory there of, I was raised with these people, or this, that, or the other. But everybody that's in the truth has their own testimony of people they had to leave, including myself, including my rib, including everybody I know that's sincere in this truth. As I'm sure you as well, right?
Most definitely.
Whether it be family, friends, relationships, whatever the case may be, Everybody, that's something that they have to do in order to not only set their house in order, but get their spirit and their self in order, right? So actually, we will go ahead and finish with you want to get First Corinthians 15 and 33, 15 and 33.
Con. This is First Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
So don't try and fool yourself. Don't be deceived. Evil communications, just communicating with evil people, is going to corrupt you in one way or another. Right? Going back to Sirach 11:29, that's why you're not supposed to have any man in your house. Right? Because what's going to happen, that the deceitful man has many trains, many different ways of getting to you, of transporting himself to you, and those spirits that are on them can easily go into you if you're not vigilant. And bringing just anybody into your house proves that you're not vigilant, right? And this is something that I personally, I could be honest with y'all and say I learned that the hard way when I first learned the truth, probably close to 5 years ago now. I still have people over and things of that nature that were, oh well, you know, they'll listen to the word, but they're not really about it. Or they'll come over and maybe listen to a study or whatever, but then as soon as it's over, we're back talking about things that shouldn't be spoken about, or people coming over that are high, have all types of spirits on them, right? We can't deceive ourselves and think that evil communications aren't going to corrupt our good manners. The flesh always fighting and lusting against the spirit, right? Always. So when it comes to actually, let's finish with what we started with. Second Ezra 14. I'll go back up to the top. Second Ezra 14 and 13.
Second Esdras chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
If you could get the definition of renounce, Baba Kashar. So it says, therefore set thine house in order. How are you going to set your house in order? If you're the man, you need to get your wife in order. And this is another thing. I've seen I've seen a lot of brothers who are married, and their sisters, so like their wives are on Instagram or on other social media. I know right now, I only have Instagram, but their wives are on there arguing with other people. Their wives are on there trying to teach the word to men, right? This is not the order that it's supposed to be in, right? Setting your house in order is making sure that your woman is trying to be a Titus 2 woman, trying to be a Proverbs 31 woman, right? Reproving your people, correcting your people. Someone's going off, someone's out of order. If your children are being disrespectful, right? You're correcting them. You're dealing with them accordingly, right? This is how you set your house in order, right? Now, therefore, set thine house in order and reprove thy people. You have to understand that just like you examine yourself daily, 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, examine yourself whether you be in the truth as the heads of the house. You also have to be examining the people under you so that you can reprove and correct them. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, comforting them with the scriptures, with love, right? And renouncing corruption, right? So renounce Renounce is to reject and stop using or consuming. You are going to reject corruption, right? Also, formally declare one's abandonment of. So you're going to formally declare, you're going to tell them, look, we do not do this in my house. Look, we keep the Sabbath in my house. We don't smoke weed in my house. If you can't do this, then you're going to have to get out of my house, right? This is how you set your house in order. And like I said before, a lot of times it comes down to, who do you love more? Do you love the Most High more and you want to get your house in order according to what he says? Or do you want to play to the emotions and to the feelings of the people that are in your house, right? Renounce corruption. That's one of the biggest things right there. Reject corruption, right? Stop using or consuming corruption. Anybody in your house, if you're setting your house in order, cannot be doing these things that are corrupt, because it's going to corrupt you, right? Like it says in 1 Corinthians 15:33, be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners, right? You want to add anything to that, Art?
Most definitely. I think it's something that's very needed, regardless of your marital status, regardless of your living situation. I think it's important to. It starts with just kind of self-reflection in how to set your house in order, whatever your living situation may be. I think a lot of this can be applicable, depending on how you see it. All edification can be used for good rebuke. So I think all these precepts are very Most High supplied, you could say.
For sure. I agree 100%. And like you said, no matter what your situation is, like the first thing you said, it all comes down to you first, right? Are you gardening? Are you watering? Are you tilling? Are you rebuking? Are you correcting yourself, right? Because how are you going to do that for your home if you're not doing it for yourself, right? There was a brother talking not too long ago. He was saying how like it's crazy that some brothers will be like, yeah, this sister, she must have a Jezebel spirit on her. She must be this, or she must be blind and all this. She doesn't want to get with me. But then the same brothers don't even study for themselves. They don't even check themselves, or maybe they do study, but they don't check themselves. They're not examining themselves daily and picking out the weeds that they need to and growing what they need to in wisdom and in fruits of the spirit and all these other things, right? So how can you expect for a woman or for children to rely and depend on you when they're looking at you like, I mean, you can't even really take care of your own self spiritually, right? That's crazy to me, but I mean that is a common thing as well. How there's some brothers, just because a brother has knowledge and wisdom doesn't mean they have the fruits of the spirit, right? And that's another thing. Maybe soon we'll do a lesson on the fruits of the spirit. But hopefully tomorrow I'll do the one that on pride and humility, because I know that's another big one. But a few brothers and a sister were asking me about this, about setting your house in order. And I mean, the main thing again is just having that authority. Because if we see the Most High as our authority and we see Yahushua as our example, then, and they are the authoritative figures, then we have to be the authoritative figures in our house. There always has to be authority. There always has to be order. Like 1 Corinthians 14:40, one of my son's favorite verses. Let all things be done decently and in order. If your house does not have order, then your house is going to fall, right? Like I said in Mark, I believe it was 3:25, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Everything has to have order. But order is not just going to come. It's not just going to magically appear one day. Okay, I've been praying, oh, please oh, please, Yahweh, give my house order. Give me order in my house. Right? That's why it says, set thine house in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40, let all things be done decently and in order. Right? So now when you set your house in order, it's got to be done decently. You're not just going to go to your children, you know what, you're following the word and this. You can sit down with them, have a constructive, if you want a constructive or productive conversation, if you want something productive to come out of it, you have to be respectful no matter who you're talking to. Even if they're your children, your wife, you know what I mean? You have to be respectful and you have to do it in a loving way. Of course, being austere and knowing that you have the authority, but at the same time, you have to let them know that you're doing it for a reason. And the reason is because you want them to make it to the kingdom with you, right? Like it said in Exodus 20, or was it like 10 through 11 or 10 through 12, right? So let all things be done in decently and in order. Set your house in order. Ivan S. Barakatah. Khan, Yahweh B'Shem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai Barakatah to you and to all the sincere brothers and sisters. And Shabbat Shalom to those of y'all who are observing the Sabbath today. Remember, that's a good way to start too. If you're observing Sabbath today, good way to start. Get your whole house to observe the Sabbath, right? Your whole house to observe the Sabbath. It said your children, your sons, your daughters, even your animals, the stranger that is within thy gates. You got a friend sleeping over, you got family members sleeping over. Oh no, we don't cook on Sabbath, right? I can show you the verses right here, right? I can show you Baruch 4:1. It says the laws are forever. I can show you when Yahweh Shai or Christ said in Matthew 5:17 and 18, he said he didn't do away with the laws. Right? That's a good way to start. So Tawada, Jomar, as always, Tawada, appreciate you.
I
hope you have a peaceful, blessed Sabbath.
Likewise, Doc.
I hope you have a Salaki. It's choppy, you know what I mean? Salaki. But yeah, you have a good Sabbath. If there's no other questions, then I'll go ahead and end it. Let me go back up to the top. You could just read it one more time just to plant that seed in their mind one more time. 2nd Ezra 14 and 13.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
Khan. So that's the whole purpose of this lesson. Set your house in order, reprove and correct your people, comfort them that are in trouble, renounce corruption. And remember, sometimes renouncing corruption means that you're going to have to get the corrupt out of your house, right? Solomon said you cannot make straight what the Most High made crooked. And we all know that not everybody that started with us is going to end with us. Not everybody that's in our household, that's our blood family, is going to make it to the king. You know, that's just the fact of the matter. So renouncing corruption a lot of times means getting rid of corruption, right? So Chrissy abundantly, Shabbat Shalom to everybody observing Sabbath. And as a brother posted up there, consider the work of Yahweh, who can make that straight which he hath made crooked. Sometimes the members of your household are just crooked, man. And you're going to have to choose who you're going to serve. You're going to serve the people that are wicked. You're going to serve Satan by being around them, allowing wickedness in your house. Or are you going to try and walk that straight path, that straight gate, like we the song me and brother Jomar did at the beginning. So choose today who you're going to serve. Set your house in order. And with that, I'll say, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, and Shabbat Shalom to all y'all observing the Sabbath. You want to say anything real quick, Ak?
Shabbat Shalom to all that tuned in, who are sincere. Greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. I know it is just as edifying for me as it is for anybody in here. You know, I'm definitely very, very humbled to be able to serve in any way that I can. So, Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. God teach him.
Come.